Let's look at the impact of load shedding on agriculture now. This has reports emerged that farmers in some parts of the country are struggling to irrigate crops due to power failure. I'm joined by Christo van der Rheede, Agri SA's Executive Director. Christo, can hear you much better now. Appreciate your time. Obviously, stage 6, a massive challenge to some of your farmers.
Indeed, and in some areas, our farmers are experiencing also a heat wave, and lack of electricity means you stand to lose all of your seedlings that you have planted. Our pivot systems require electricity from Eskom. It takes about 10 hours for that pivot system to run a full cycle, and your plants require approximately 12 millimeters of water. And if large sections of the area which you planted do not get water, you stand to lose. And that's the risk that many of those farmers are currently facing that are irrigating their crops along the Orange and Bar River and in many other parts of the country. It includes your sugar farmers, your maize farmers, also your vegetable farmers, and also farmers that have perennial crops. Their fruit trees need water on a regular basis. And if you don't have water pumps or electricity for the water pumps, it's a challenge.
Now, talk to us in terms of numbers. How many farmers are we talking about that are impacted by this?
At this point in time, it's difficult to say. Remember, you've got various sectors in the agriculture sector. So dairy farmers, if they don't have electricity, they cannot milk their cows. They cannot keep their milk in cold storage. Your poultry farmers cannot slaughter their chicken. Remember, KFC is not going to slaughter chicken. They expect the slaughterhouses to do that on their behalf. In addition, your farmers, fruit farmers, are exporting to other parts of the world. You can easily compromise the quality of your fruit if it's not kept in a cold chain throughout the transportation of that fruit. And then, in addition to that, there's this massive impact, as I've said earlier, on your equipment. Equipment packs up as a result. Transformers blow up as a result of this. So all of our farmers, and here you talk about approximately 35,000 commercial farmers and more than 100,000 emerging farmers, all of them are affected in some way or the other.
Will this have any implications at this time on food security in the short term?
I don't think we should be too worried about food availability. What is going to happen, what we've already seen, is that due to the spike in the price of diesel, due to the spike in your interest rates, and cost of capital becoming more expensive, due to the rise in input costs for fertilizers and packaging costs and so forth, we've seen that there is a spillover impact of that on the price of food. And that's our bigger issue, the affordability of food. But availability of food is also going to be impacted on because, yes, we might have a lot of chickens on the farm and we have enough poultry to provide to the country. But if you don't have electricity to slaughter your cattle or your poultry, then that will lead to a shortage, as it has led to a shortage already when it comes to places such as KFC and other fast food outlets that have complained about the fact that there is a shortage of poultry for their specific outlets.
Are there any alternatives available to the farmers to Eskom at the moment?
Look, your commercial farmers to a certain extent can buy generators. The problem is the cost of diesel. With load level 6, one farmer told me that he has spent approximately 1.5 million rand just over Christmas to purchase diesel for 5 big generators. If he didn't buy that, his entire enterprise would have been in serious trouble because they are processing some of the vegetables that they produce and so forth. Another dairy farmer told me yesterday that he plans to shut down his dairy because he says the sums doesn't add up. It doesn't make business sense to run a dairy when you know there's no electricity And that's the sad part of it. Workers start to lose their jobs. The country's food security status is put at risk. And then farmers, just at the end of the day, due to all of these negative factors, they just close down their operations or they scale down their operations. And that is to the great detriment of the country.
Now, finally, are you able to quantify for us the losses that have been experienced due to the stage 6 load shedding that we are experiencing? Or do you not have those numbers at the moment?
Yeah, that is very difficult. Remember, Stats SA's numbers only come out on a quarterly basis. But we know of poultry farmers that have lost thousands of chickens due to the fact that conveyor belts come to a standstill, and those belts carry the food into the places where the poultry are reared. We also know of grain farmers that have lost large tracts of irrigated maize fields. And then, in addition to that, we also know of farmers that experience losses as a result of criminal activities, because their security systems are not working, and criminals access their farms, and they lose valuables at the end of the day. So yes, quantifying at this stage is but difficult because we don't have those figures necessarily at hand, but we will see that in the contribution of the agriculture sector to the GDP.
Christo van der Rheede, Agri SA's Executive Director, appreciate your time this afternoon.